In this video, we will be technically analyzing US30, which is also known as the Dow Jones Index. Before we get into the actual technical analysis, I just also wanted to point out that earnings season has started, and today we have Citigroup Inc., JP Morgan Chase, as well as Wells Fargo and Co. Releasing their season's earnings. So what this means is that these three companies or these three banks will have a significant impact on how US30 moves today, right? So without wasting any further time, let's get straight into the actual analysis. And in front of me, I have the weekly chart of US30 open. And just to recap, the last time we spoke about this particular index, we had mentioned that the market had given us this very nice M structure over here, which had a neckline at that point. We saw price breaking to the bottom side of that neckline, going back to the neckline to test it. However, unfortunately, the neckline, which is at this level over here, was not able to hold price at this point, as the anticipation was for the market to reject at this level and then continue to move further down to around this level, which is where exactly the M structure started, in my humble opinion. However, having said that, guys, we can see, as I said, that the neckline failed to hold price and we saw the market push further up. To add to this, what we anticipated next was that the market will reject at this point, because we had a rejection at this point, which is the first rejection, a second rejection at that point, and we were anticipating that we would get a third rejection at this point and that the market will continue to move further down. However, we can also see that the market was not able to hold price at this point, and it seems as though the market is preparing to continue to move further up, right? Anyway, what else do we see in regards to the weekly chart of US30 that we should be paying attention to? At this point, I don't see much, but I just also want to point out that as much as we had this very nice M structure, just remember that when it comes to M structures, a lot of traders and investors sell on that second leg of that M structure, and they place their stop losses just above, right? And remember that stop losses represent liquidity, and liquidity is money that needs to be triggered by the market at one point or another. So in other words, I would say that because, as I said, we have this M structure and we had a lot of traders and investors selling at this point, we have a lot of money in this area in the form of stop losses. And what may possibly happen is that this may be a stop hunt, this entire move, to grab all of those stop losses, and then once that happens, we may potentially see the market push further down, right? And another reason why I say that this whole move could be a stop hunt is because if you look at these 1, 2, 3, 4 bullish candlesticks in this area, they're very strong bullish candlesticks, and we don't really have any bearish candlesticks in between. So this tells me that chances are that this is a rush by the market to this place to grab all of those stop losses, and once that happens, we may potentially see the market push further down. And what may possibly also happen is that the market may give us what is a triple top of sorts at that point. Can you guys see that? Anyway, from here, what I'm going to do is head down to the daily chart, and let's see what's happening on the daily chart. Let's have a look on the daily chart. On the daily chart, we can see that we had a W structure at this point. It had a neckline at that point. We never really got to see price come back to the neckline to test it. We saw the market push further up. As much as we have that W structure, we also have another W structure over here, which similarly has a neckline at that point, and that we may potentially see in the future price coming back again to the neckline. Having said that, guys, at this level over here, price actually broke to the upside of that neckline of this W structure, and then it actually came back to the neckline to test it. And at this point is where we should have looked for those potential buying opportunities. Having said that, we may potentially see the market push further down to around this level. Why do I say so? That is because this level over here is a very strong level of support, and as I said, it's also the neckline of this W structure, right? Anyway, let's proceed, guys. In fact, before we proceed, I just want to add a W structure for that, or rather a neckline for that W structure. And we could say more or less that this is the, as I said, neckline of this W structure over here, right? So let's zoom in a bit and see what else is happening. In fact, before you proceed, I just want to add my daily channel. Let's see, how would I add my daily channel in this regard? I would add my daily channel in this manner. Just bear with me, everybody. And just remember, guys, that we need to ensure that whatever drawings that we add to our charts are as accurate as possible, right? So there goes, we could say, our daily channel more or less, right? And we can see that the market is in an upward trajectory, right? We're in an upward trending market, as you guys can see. And as I've said, the anticipation at this point is for the market to continue to move further up, and we might, as I said, see a stop hunt of sorts happen to around this level where we have all of those stop losses that I spoke about. Anyway, let's zoom in and see what else is happening at this point. Let's have a look. Another thing that is also very much interesting is that at this point in time, the market is at a very strong level of resistance, right? Why do I say so? That is because if you have a look at this level over here, just bear with me. If you have a look at this level over here, we can see that we have a lot of rejections at that point. If I can just mark them, just bear with me. We can see that we have a lot of areas where price rejected, right? And we may potentially see the market from where it is move further down to around this level, right? That's the reason why I said that at this point in time we might see the market push further down to around this level to test or to retest the neckline of this W structure, which is also a very strong level of support, right? And if it does so at this point, we will most likely look for potential buying opportunities. Why do I say so? That is because, remember guys, earlier I mentioned how we have this M structure and how a lot of stop losses are actually located in and around that area, and that the market may actually head up to grab all of those stop losses only to push further down once that is done, right? So what else do we see, guys, in regards to the daily chart of US30? Another thing that I see that is also very much important, guys, is that we have this candlestick over here. What it is a bullish candlestick with a small body and quite a long upper wick, and what it tells us is that we have a lot of liquidity at that point in the form of this candlestick over here, as I said, which is carrying all of that liquidity. And remember that liquidity is money, and money is exactly where the markets will head to at one point or another, right? So I'm just going to mark this area over here, right? And it also forms as a motivation for why we believe that the market from where it is has to push further up, or at least come back to this level to test it, and then push further up to grab all of those liquidity points that I spoke about earlier, right? Anyway, what else do we see at this point? I don't see much. So what I will do now is head down to the H4 chart. Just bear with me, everybody. And here we are on the H4 chart. On the H4 chart, I'm just going to fix my H4 channel just to ensure that everything is in line and accurate. Let's have a look. There we go, more or less. There we go. Right? And I'm just going to fix the upper one as well. In fact, that's fine anyway. Yeah, so here we are on the H4 chart. And just to recap on the H4 chart, we spoke about how we have, guys, remember, this W structure which has a neckline at that point, and we said that because the market is at a very strong level of resistance, what may possibly happen at this point is that we might see the market push further down to around here to just retest this neckline of this W structure. And if it does so, at this point is where we would look for further buying opportunities, because we have, as I said earlier, this huge M structure, and that we have a lot of stop losses that are located in that region, and that we have that candlestick that I spoke about that's carrying that liquidity. It's a bullish candlestick with a small body and quite a long upper wick. Just keep that in the back of your mind as we proceed, right? So here we are on the H4 chart. Let's zoom in a bit and see what exactly it is that's happening on this particular chart. Before we continue, I actually want to start off by adding my H4 channel. Let's have a look. I would add my H4 channel more or less in this manner. Just bear with me, everybody. There goes our H4 channel, and let's zoom in a bit and see what exactly it is that is happening on this particular chart. Let's have a look, let's have a look, let's have a look. What do we see on this chart, guys? What do we see? So as much as on the bigger time frames we spoke about that W structure that's carrying or rather that has a neckline at that point, if I can just zoom in, can you guys also see that we have within, or rather just above that neckline, other W structures that we should be paying attention to? Number one, we have this W structure over here, which has a neckline at that point, more or less. Can you guys see that? And we might potentially see price head down to this level to test that neckline and then potentially push further up, right? As much as we have that one, we also have, if you pay attention here, you will see that we have another one here with a neckline more or less at that point. We saw price breaking here to the upside of that neckline, coming back to the neckline to test it, and then pushing up at that point, right? However, having said that, this one is not that important at this stage. The most important one, in as far as the H4 chart goes, is this W structure over here, right? I know to some of you it doesn't look like a W structure, but trust me, it is a W structure, and where we have that neckline is actually a very strong level of support at this point in time. So let's have a look. So we could say that this level over here, as I said, is the neckline of this W structure over here, right? And in conclusion, guys, as much as I said that we have this area over here, which is a very strong area of resistance, and that we might potentially see the market push further down to around this level, which is the neckline of that big W structure that we spoke about in the daily chart, what may possibly happen also is that we might see the market only push further down to around this area, which is the neckline of the smaller W structure, and then at this point we might then again see the market push further up to those levels that we spoke about on the bigger time frames.